It is my pleasure to invite Dr. Aruna Tiwari, a professor in computer science and engineering at IIT Indore, to the stage. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Aruna Tiwari to share her insights on the latest advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the team for inviting me and delivering the talk in AI/ML. I am working with AI/ML more than 25 years, and I worked with quantum computing for AI/ML oriented way only, not purely quantum computing person. So here you will see that I will deliver the challenges which the people are facing for developing novel AI/ML algorithms, because my core area is AI/ML algorithms, and we develop AI/ML algorithms. We do not use readily available algorithm, however they are based on the readily available algorithm, but we innovate the algorithms for the sake of different applications. Okay. So if you look at the details of my talk, as I was yesterday here for half day and I heard about two different experts of AI/ML delivered their talk, and you got to know different kinds of AI methodologies, lots of buzzwords, and the introduction to different areas, applications as such. So I am focusing on the things from researchers' point of view, from technology transfer point of view, and the way you can look at the AI specific thing for your problem. By keeping in mind that the people sitting over here are from different areas, it's not specifically from computer science area, you're from different areas and different graduate courses you are studying, maybe UG, PG, PhD, and faculty members are also sitting here. So by keeping this thing in mind, you can quickly see the introduction and the data handling challenges, because whenever you work with, we know that everyone nowadays using AI/ML some way, directly or indirectly. Because whenever from research point of view they want to publish the paper, they think that I must make use of some already available AI/ML, then I can publish it, isn't it? But the target must be something else. It should not just publish your work as a researcher. So now the time is, you have to develop the technology, how you are using AI/ML, but you should come up to the level of technology so that you can transfer that thing as a product to the societal level, isn't it? So from that perspective, as already discussed by two other professors yesterday, that data is always the main thing by which it is data-driven thing. If data is not there, you cannot make the things intelligent. Okay. So look at the details which I am going to cover. The main highlight I will give later on this one, AI-oriented work for technology transfer. So all these things you are already knowing. As a human being, all we are intelligent, and by virtue of intelligence, we can talk multiple tasks. But we look at the artificial intelligence. It is dedicated one. Whatever models you will train, it is specific to a particular domain, isn't it? So as far as working with the problems, or the problems which needs decision making or intelligence, or in other words we can say we make the devices intelligent, then important thing is you have to understand that problem and you collect the data of that kind. And based on the data only you have to plan that which methodology, AI/ML methodology you will make use of, so that you can train it, make it intelligent enough, you learn it, and then you can solve and you can use for the future purpose. Isn't it? There are lots of applications you have seen, which I am not discussing here. Nowadays, why this AI/ML algorithm is becoming challenge for the various people for different at the different levels, the industry people, the students or the researchers, the scientists. The reason is data is in variety of form, and everyone wants to make use of the AI/ML methodology to solve the problems quickly. Now you know the data could be in audio form, the signal processing kind of thing in medical scenario. Data could be in number form, data could be in any form, image form or speech form. But as yesterday also discussed, the broadly if you look at the computing components for developing AI/ML model is you have to collect the data, you have to work with the data, transform the data, and then only you can make use of the models and can tune it for your problem. And it is a problem specific. So these pictures are showing different applications, not limiting to any application: agriculture, defense, cyber security, traffic management. There are lots of such things where you can see the data could be images, could be videos, could be in one image it could be video as well as static data and dynamic data also. So there are lots of challenges when we come to the implementation part, the practical implementation part. Okay. Like this you can see this is movable object, this tree is a static object. So when we work with the video is a problem and the another problem is collecting the data. Okay. Now let's come to the practical aspect of working with AI/ML methodologies. Okay. Now what are the practical challenges in current scenario? Look at the first point, concept drift or online learning. As I discussed till now, data is very important aspect when you work with the AI/ML methodologies. And it is not limiting to the data which is on your machine, and it is in the number form. Whatever data you are getting from the end user, it could be audio, it could be image, it could be video, it could be speech, it could be text, it could be anything. Now the challenge is you have to convert any kind of data to the number form first. Okay. Another thing, what kind of data is coming? It is geographically distributed also across the network. And it is not on the single place. And data is communicating over the channels. When data is communicating over the channels and keep coming, then it is called as online data, isn't it? And how do we modify your existing algorithm to handle online data? Because your data is not fixed when you are performing the learning. And that's a challenge to tune the models again for the data keep on coming and training. Because when do you stop the training? That is a challenge because data keep on coming and data nature keep on changing also. So when do you stop the training? That is also a challenge. Another thing, data nature is also keep on changing. So look at the first point, concept drift or online learning. And let's see the example of concept learning, concept drift. Now for example, buying the clothes from a store, online shopping, cloth store. Now likings of the clothes keep on changing depending on the weather, isn't it? If it is say December season, more woolen cloths must be there in the store. Okay. So how that shopkeeper is going to maintain the inventory, take the decision when to acquire or maintain the inventory for woolen cloths or cotton cloths or some other kind of cloths. It depends on the weather situation or the months. But if you look at the Kashmir area, their scene is different. If you look at Madras area, the south area, December may not be that these woolen cloths are required. Or, so how do you prepare the model, the general model, which is applicable to make the decisions for maintaining the inventory of the cloth in a particular season for all regions, for all the states? Because weather situation is different in different areas. That is a challenge. Now meaning of concept drift is, for example, liking of the cloth is gradually changing by the customer. When the weather is shifting from January to February or February to March, it is gradually changing. Like in Indore, it is gradually changing. Indore is cooler than the Pune. Okay, so this time they are liking woolen cloths. Okay, but when to remove woolen cloths and acquire all cotton cloths, it's a gradual shift. It's not like that in February eliminate all the woolen and take all the cotton cloths. So collecting such kind of data by which we are able to take the decision when the kind of cloths are to be acquired to maintain the inventory properly as per the liking of the user, that is a challenge. Because it says concept drift. It is gradually, the liking is gradually changing. It is not fixed that suddenly you change from the woolen cloths to the cotton. It is gradually changing. So that is always a challenge, and for which we need to innovate online learning algorithms to handle the data which is handling the concept drift. The nature of the data is keep on changing, hence the data distribution keep on changing. Next thing is handling big data. As I already mentioned that data is available anywhere geographically nowadays. It is not considered data is on the one machine, and you have to design the algorithms which can handle the data coming from any side. You don't know the size of the data when you start learning. That means data is unlimited now. It is going to be big data. Now how to handle or enhance your learning algorithm which can handle such a huge data or the big data, because resources at your end is limited. There is a limit of the resources, and how to implement that learning algorithm which keep on training such a huge amount of the data with the acceptable performance. Then real time is always a challenge in computer science scenario. When something is to be expected real time, like in defense, if missile is going to attack a particular time, then it must be on that time only. Even 0.01 millisecond is not allowed. Otherwise, enemy will fire. There is no meaning of firing that missile if it is delaying nanoseconds even, isn't it? So real time is always a challenge. You are developing algorithm, you are innovating algorithm, you are solving the solutions, and you are saying I used AIML in my area, and now it is working fine. But for which kind of user you are applying it, and whether it is satisfying that user or not, that is always a challenge. Next is optimization is always a challenge. You have to know the methodologies by which you have to optimize the learning processes in the AIML, and you have to ensure that my algorithm will perform optimized learning. Hence, when I deploy on the hardware, because why do you develop AIML? Because somewhere you have to automate your devices, the hardware. So you have to embed those algorithms to the chips to make it usable to some device. Now when it goes to the hardware, there are a lot of power consumption and other things are there. And if it is not optimized in terms of time and other factors, depending on the kind of algorithm, no user will take that algorithm. Okay, so optimization and hardware realization directly correlates, and it all depends on the performance. So whenever we work with the innovation of the AIML algorithm or usage of AIML algorithm in any of our applications or research, the challenge is whether it is meeting the acceptable performance from the end user perspective. If end user perspective is not being taken, then you cannot innovate the technology, you cannot transfer that technology to the societal level. So here I am showing this example because just you can have a glimpse who are not from computer science area, that when we come to the learning process of some model, AIML model, like neural network is very famous model nowadays. Most of the people are using CNN and all these deep learning algorithms. So you might have heard about neural network. But whatever AIML model you are using, they take numbers only. So these are images of the numbers, and these images must be converted to these number forms. Okay? So whatever AIML, they work with numbers. So what challenge is there? Converting any kind of data, audio, video, speech, text, anything must be converted to the number form. And all those challenges which we discussed just now are equally important depending on the user's requirement or the availability of the data also. Now that means working with data is always a challenge. You plan that I want to use AIML in my work, but for which purpose you want to use AIML? You understood the problem. If you understood the problem, means you understood the kind of data which you want to apply to the AIML. Now how to work with the data? The first phase comes is the data preparation. And in data itself, a lot of data engineering is required. And based on that, the success of AIML thing will come into picture when you come to your research. So, it is normally called as preparing training file or the learning file, collecting the data, which involves a lot of steps like data collection, then pre-processing, then feature reduction. If data is huge, we go for reducing the feature, extracting the feature so the file size is being reduced, and then we go for further optimization also. But it should, the feature should not be lost. Whatever you are doing with the data, it should not, and that you will cross-check with the performance of the application for which you are developing. So that means data analysis is an important aspect in AIML scenario. So broadly, if you look at anyone working in this area, AIML may not be computer science person, non-computer science persons also, if they want to work or use AIML thing, broadly there are the steps involved. First, you properly analyze your domain for which you are working. You have to interact with the end user properly, hence you can collect the data properly. Because if data is wrong, the learning will be wrong and decision making will be wrong. And then you will fail to develop the technology at the end. Okay? Next is the data preparation. Say you are developing the solution for some ECG recognition, healthcare application. Now ECG signals you are collecting. Collecting data from hospital for ECG is really difficult because number is less. If number is less, then there is a problem, you cannot train the algorithm properly. You need a lot of data to train AI/ML algorithms properly, the models properly. Now collecting data is a challenge, then working with the data, how to convert the data into the number form, that is also a challenge. If signal, you have to meet to the signal processing person who is electrical engineer, not computer science person. You find out how signals are to be quantized, numbered, so that features will not be lost. That is the next thing. And that's why AI/ML is becoming interdisciplinary. I will give you the example. Then other challenges also came into picture that we discussed. If it is big data, if it is online, then other challenges are also coming. Then only you come to the AI/ML model part, that which model I am going to use. I will use deep learning model, I will use simple ANN model, I will use evolutionary algorithm, I will use some other, say, multi-model architecture. There are lots of models, NLP model, what kind of model. That's the further thing you have to decide. And then only you can apply those things, the processed data, to that AI/ML model. And after all, you have to evaluate the performance for that AI/ML model. If it is a classification model, you have to evaluate classification accuracies, precision, recall, all those things. If it is clustering, then you have to evaluate clustering specific performance metrics like NMI, ARI, cluster quality you have to measure. If it is prediction based thing, then you evaluate something. If it is multi-level classification, then there are some other performance metrics you have to test. If it is video based classification, then you have to evaluate video specific performance also. Isn't it? So if someone would like to go ahead in the form of tool, after all, what is expectation from a person who is using AI/ML in their domain? The expectation is some tool must be in hand. Most of the time people want tool in the form of apps nowadays. Or it may be embedded in the form of device, so as a IoT application that can be used. Mean in the form of some device or software tool so that I can download and I can use it, the user can use it. Because we are talking about the technology transfer, if we are using AI/ML. So broadly, when you are the coder, you are the implementer or using AI/ML in your work, then these are the important steps you keep in mind. That the data collection, which I already discussed in detail, that's an important phase after your problem analysis. Second thing comes, you have to implement some training algorithm on which you are applying the data. Mean you write a complete program or routine which is called as training program or training algorithm or learning algorithm, meaning is same. Then next is you have to verify that training algorithm. Say you apply some hundreds of samples for training and you said my accuracy is for all 100 samples, it is giving good accuracy. But if I am applying 101th sample, unknown sample, then it is giving wrong error. However, it is belonging to the same class. Mean testing is also equally important. Okay. So next phase will come to the testing. You can quickly implement the algorithm because readily available algorithms are available. Yesterday madam was talking about so many things, explainable AI, this AI, that AI. For all types of AI, already available algorithms are there. You can use it quickly in your research. But verification, validation, the testing is most critical part. And whenever you perform validation or testing, then the question comes whether you have the performance tuning appropriately. You have to tune that algorithm for your problem. And then you can go back to your data analysis and data preprocessing part. There may be something wrong there, or data may be insufficient. Something is wrong at the data level also. Something is wrong at the performance tuning of algorithm also. That you have to reanalyze. So testing requires a lot of efforts by any researcher, any coder who is focusing the solution in terms of AI practical. Only after successful verification, validation, that means for unknown samples also it must give correct answers. And all performance evaluation metrics must be at the acceptable level. Then only you can say that my system is now trained, learned, and it can be used anywhere and it is deployable to some level, maybe at the device level or at the tool level. So I am giving here example of the AI/ML algorithms for agriculture. Last 12 years I am working with the agriculture sector with genotypic data in collaboration with this ICAR Institute, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Soybean Research, and one is CII Bhopal, Central Institute of Agricultural Engineering. It is specific to soybean research. We work with genomics of soybean, different soybean species, the plants. Now whatever I discuss, you can look at that in the form of this agriculture use case, the genomics data. Now what are the challenges in genomics data? And you might have learned some basic biology in your like 11th standard or 12th, everyone. So they heard about, everyone knows RNA, DNA, not in very much detail. From computing point of view, I will tell you the things. No, I am not biologist, so I don't know a lot of things. And how we are helping to the scientists, that I want to share, what we done in our labs, and how we are able to develop the technology for these scientists, the breeders. And we keep doing this for years. So as far as genomic area is concerned, it is represented in the form of RNA, DNA or protein sequences. You might have heard these terms. In fact, human beings' body also, it is represented by genes. RNA, DNA or protein sequences. What they want to identify the key traits in those long RNA, DNA sequences. And these RNA, DNA and these sequences keep on changing regularly. The anatomy of these things keep changing. These scientists want key genes which are responsible for a specific properties, specific traits in that living thing, in that plant. And those key traits will be helpful to redesign or improve the seed quality in terms of drought resistant, in terms of water resistant, in terms of some disease resistant. But these RNA, DNA or these genomic things, it's a long sequence of chain. Now what is this long sequence of chain from computer science point of view, so that one can use of AI? Because as a computer science thing, we look at everything as data. And we want every data to be converted to the number. It can be RNA, DNA or whatever, or it is phenotypic data. So let's take example of genomic, this gene thing. So if you look at the agriculture scientists who work with genomics, genome data, they are called as breeders. This is their terminology. Breeders are nothing, they are agriculture scientists who specifically work for genome data. And how this genome data is generated from the plant, there is a sequencer machine. It is available with their institutes. This sequencer machine will extract the short reads. And this is raw data. It is not RNA, DNA or protein. So first challenge for them is how this raw data is being converted to the RNA, DNA or this thing, protein. Then only it is possible to extract the key genes. With this raw data, they cannot even, the scientists cannot understand anything. So what they call it as, like Indian Institute of ISRI, Indian Statistical Agriculture Research Institute, Delhi. They are working a lot on genome assembly, and they are saying, madam, there is no general purpose tool available for genome assembly for any crop. There is a great challenge. So assembling this raw data, which is coming from this sequencer machine, collecting this data and converting this data to the appropriate protein, RNA or DNA is a big challenge, and which is termed as genome assembly. In our lab, this work has been done one by one MS scholar before 3 years. That raw data has been taken and how to do that genome assembly. Now to accelerate the breeding process, what is meant by breeding process? How to improve the seed quality. Because nowadays weather is unstable. It is too hot in January season. It's not rainy season, so much rain. So they always want to improve the seed quality for any crop. It may be soybean, anything it could be. But soybean is a complex gene structure, and that's why a lot of efforts are required in that soybean genomics area. So what they want, that in breeding process, they want to enhance the characteristics of that crop in terms of disease resistant, drought resistant, and obviously so that it will go for higher yield. identifying diseases on time, so procurement will be done in the form of pesticides and all those things. Now, these things are called as short reads, and converting this to this RNA, DNA and protein, they need some tool. In fact, general purpose tool. However, we developed tool for soybean only. Now the work is still pending, that how to develop general purpose tool for all kinds of crops. There are unlimited crops, everyone is knowing. And every crop, every plant having several species. If you look at rice, there are several species. If you look at soybean, there are several species. So lot of work is there. Collection of data is also a challenge, converting raw data to and developing that crop in different areas. Their genomic structure is different. If I am doing soybean crop in Madhya Pradesh is different, Rajasthan is different, and Jammu Kashmir is different, because weather condition is different, so their genomic structure is totally different. Now how to collect data is a problem. Now if you look at whatever I was saying, RNA, DNA or something, let's take example of protein data. Now what is protein? When you assume that this raw data is converted to protein sequence, what is meant by protein data? Now protein data is nothing, it is made up of amino acids, all these chemicals. These amino acids, you look at these many amino acids which are represented by these alphabets. So you look at like first chain or second or third one, they are made up of these alphabets. Now for computing person or the computer science perspective, they are simply alphabets, characters. Now how to convert these characters into the numbers? Because if I want to develop some computing solution for this data to identify the disease with which this plant is suffering from, I have to apply numbers, not these characters. So how to convert these characters into the number form so that features will not be lost? So that means working with the data is a challenge. Collecting the data is a challenge. Then pre-processing the data is a challenge. Feature extraction is a challenge. Everything is challenge, and then the AML thing will come later. So there is a lot of data science, data analysis is required. And this work we have done in 2012 we started that work with protein data, and we work with now RNA, DNA and other things also, and we develop computing methodology in big data framework. So you can see here, these protein sequences, in fact they are not aligned. You can see here, these are aligning, the length of every sequence is similar. But when you look at the raw version, it is unaligned. Some line of sequence is having say 10 characters, another line may be containing 100 characters, some other is containing 80 characters, some other, it is unaligned. And when we come to AIML thing, all inputs must be aligned. AIML model will not work with variant length of inputs. It works with the similar length of inputs, because you are fixing your model some set of inputs. Those inputs cannot vary if you come to the AIML model, any AIML model. So that means working with data and to make it adjustable with the AIML model is a challenge. So look there, and in fact these scientists are having independent tools to do that work. First align it, some tool. Then converting this data into another tool. There are different tools they apply for different steps. They don't have any, even in India also there is no integrated tool solution available which can perform, or we can say pipeline tool available which just take the raw data and diagnose the disease. There is no such tool available. A single-handed integrated tool available, even for a single crop. Okay. So what they do after raw data, they get these sequences in the protein form, and you look at this sequence is starting from this point, another sequence starting from this point, third sequence starting from this point. Then there are gaps also. Gaps means nothing, no amino acid, which are not carrying any trait in the genome. Only these alphabets are representing something. Means these gaps are not required at all. From computing point of view, it is wasting of storage space. So what processing is needed? We have to eliminate these gaps. We want only these amino acids. Another thing is we have to align these amino acids, the length and sequence of the genome or the protein. So there is a tool, Cluster Omega, by which they eliminate the gaps, then they take another tool, Blast Tree, with which they align it and make the similar length. So many such tools are there, but there is no integrated tool available, general purpose tool available for the crop. So a lot of work on this protein sequence, eliminating the gaps, then making them align, and then only it will proceed with the clustering. So this is the problem of clustering, because it is not labeled. Only sequences are generated, it is not labeled. And if it is not labeled, we have to use unsupervised algorithm, as yesterday madam was discussing with you, the type of algorithm. It is unsupervised algorithm problem, and you have to cluster them. Looking at these colors, the different clusters are being formed when we apply clustering algorithm. These clusters form, the breeders, the agriculture scientists having query sequences, means they already studied well for the specific kind of species how their cluster is, and they try to match with this raw sequence, whatever the current data they are providing and the clusters are generated, they try to match the already available cluster. We can say healthy plant, the clusters of healthy plant, they try to match it. If something is deviating, that means they say that plant is suffering from something, and they are able to say that this plant is suffering from this disease. Like soybean having 26 diseases, so they are already having well studied genome structure for which they can say if something is wrong here or this cluster is deviating, then this is the disease. So whatever outputs we are generating, the computer science perspective, something we are going to generate with the already available or the currently work with genome sequences, they will match with the agri-scientist people, and they are able to say now this is suffering from this disease. After this, after clustering, then labeling will be done, that which disease or which kind of special trait you want to identify. So we do clustering, and then classification will come, and there actually the AML thing will come into picture. So if you look at the steps, and in fact last 1 year, since years we are developing so many computing solutions, data analytic, feature extraction, and AML solution for the different crop varieties. We work with soybean crop, wheat crop, rice, and finally, as per their requirement, we try to integrate a variety of things with whatever we develop and develop a technology. And we converted that thing to the integrated tool, which we named as X-Genome. This is the technology for the breeder. For one industry, we try to deploy it there. It is in process. So you can see a lot of tasks are involved. The genome data set, starting from genome data set generation for a specific crop, then it goes to the feature extraction as we discussed, then it involves clustering, then further this identification is being done for the purpose of identifying special traits or diseases. So if you look at the innovation and novelty, lot of components are being coded from computer science perspective. Look at the first box where a lot of work is being done related to data only. Data collection, pre-processing, transformation, extraction, etc. And then after this pre-processing, that feature extraction is being done from computing perspective, the optimization and all, because when a researcher used to make use of the real life application, like I just want to give an example from computer science perspective. In 2016, my student was working on PhD on big data. So from computer science perspective, we have to publish the paper, some reputed journal paper from algorithmic perspective, not from data perspective. We were using this data for the purpose of testing our innovative algorithms. So what we were doing, we were changing our algorithm for handling big data. So we changed fuzzy clustering algorithm, scalable ones. We deployed on the Apache Spark setup, but we used this problem, the real problem, to ensure that it is comparable with the already available solutions. And then only we published the paper in 2016 in IEEE transaction on big data, not on agriculture. And that time, whatever developed, we are using that scalable version here to integrate with these solutions. Because over the years, 3 PhDs done in big data handling from computer science perspective. There we adopted this agriculture problem, genomic problem, to test our algorithms, whether they are scalable or not. Okay. is how the different components you can see are being integrated, and then we can go for this disease route identification or special trait identification. Hence it will improve the breeding process, or we can say it improves the seed quality. Finally, another important, when we come to the technology transfer, technology is developed, but how you make it public? You have to train the farmers that this is good quality. How do you convince them? This is a practical thing. There is no computing required there. So, whatever I said just now, that because we targeted our PhDs in big data area, which is one of the famous area in computer science, and for that we use Apache Spark framework in CSIR funded project to establish the lab in IIT Indore. Further, we got access in under NSM funds, we got access of supercomputers, Param Siddhi in C-DAC Pune, now it is changed to Erabat, and Param Shakti from IIT Kharagpur. And the next student extended those methodologies for GPU accelerated code. So those codes have been changed to GPU accelerated one, and we tested those supercomputer. It was drastically, the performance in terms of time and space was reduced because a lot of GPUs are there, and we got good results, and the results were published in HPC journals as well. But you look at what we have done broadly, different kinds of crop data, they are applied in terms of their genomic, it could be protein, RNA or DNA, and then whatever Apache Spark setup is established on Param Siddhi, it has undergone that, and then perform broadly the feature extraction, then clustering, and then classification. And that's how it was helpful for the agri-scientists for pathogen resistant, weather resistant, spatial trait identification. Finally, they expect an integrated tool. So, if you look at in broader detail of HPC based AML algorithms, if you say HPC based means they are GPU accelerated algorithms. This is another challenge, as I already mentioned in terms of big data handling and all. But if you say high performance computing based algorithm means you have to transform that code to GPU accelerated one. For computer science student, unless and until you trained and test and verified your algorithm on simple machine, the CPU based, you cannot proceed with the GPU accelerated. You cannot directly code GPU accelerated. You are unable to test anything. If algorithm is not verified, how you can go for GPU1? And if you are going with GPU1, data must be huge. Otherwise, there is no point to implement or test GPU accelerated algorithms. You need huge data to verify whether the performance metrics are handling the huge data or online data, isn't it? So this is what, it's a gradual process. You know, in one semester you can't do everything. Even in 1 year you can't do everything. It's a gradual process with whatever application you are touching. And if you are targeting technology development, it's a huge effort. So these are few publications related to this over the years. Now, as I already mentioned, we are targeting the technology which we have done. In fact, we are in the process of deploying this tool to one of the industry, seed industry, this Ruchi Seeds, Ruchi High Seeds industry in Indore. They are in continuous touch, what they wanted, they are in continuous touch. Even in Carisoft, USA, they are working with the genomics problems. They also want to collaborate with us, and they are having integrated solution, but they do not work with the Indian varieties, Indian crops. So they are unable to provide solution for Indian crops. They are working for their crops. And that's how they want to collaborate, because data is not available. If they collaborate and sign on, then only the data will be provided, otherwise not. So that means, in short, we have to work with the technology in terms of the TRL levels. I hope you know these are some screenshots of the tool which we developed and developing and working with as per the industry requirement. And we want to increase the TRL level. If you publish the papers, the SCI index paper means you are at the TRL 3 for whatever work. But when you want to go to the market, it must be TRL 7. You have to identify the requirements of the user, how they want, the deployable requirements, the resources, a lot of things are the MOUs, and so many things is there. And whenever you are able to satisfy everything in the code up to that level, then only you can say that you are at the TR7. So this is what we are planning. And apart from this agriculture related thing, I developed the technology related to groundwater management in collaboration with IIT Delhi. We developed app for soybean plant, a crop doctor that we are about to patent, and fully working with the agriculture sector. I think I can take 5 minutes. How much time is remaining? 5 minutes. So let me finish. So it is because specific to innovative AI/ML technology. One thing I already discussed. Another thing is nowadays people are using generative AI. Quickly, I want to give a glimpse. I am doing research in this area also. One project already finished, MeitY funded project with generative AI. And why generative AI? Please understand. If data is very less, then you must use some generative AI model like GAN architecture, generative adversarial network, because it generates the samples of similar kind within the same data distribution. Hence, more sample. If more sample, then more training or learning and performance you can achieve in your work, whatever area you are working. Okay. So in generative AI, you can see we work with the video data for video anomaly detection for toll plaza problems. So it's again a NHAI problem, real problem, national highways problem, and one industry working having that collaboration with NHAI for 16 toll plazas. And we are fortunate we got the real images from the the toll plaza, and whenever vehicle is crossing, if it is maybe reversing or some fire or some abnormal situation is happening, that is called as anomaly. Okay? And one of the PhD defended for this problem, video anomaly detection using generative adversarial network architecture. We innovated 5 generative adversarial neural network architectures. It's our architecture for which they all work on the video data. So like this pedestrian area, the vehicle is crossing is anomaly. Everything is unusual is anomaly. Something wrong happening, then it's an anomaly. So all those models are general purpose model. However, the real application we are taking the toll plaza because we got those things, the images, real images. So these are some novel GAN algorithms we developed which are published also. You can see here the publications. The well GAN model, all for video anomaly detection. All these models are published and anyone can use it. And we are using it for national highways problem, and this is again we are trying to develop as a technology. We already signed MOU with that industry, and they are going to deploy it there, toll plazas, dashboards. And generative AI now we are trying to use in the form for phenotypic data in agriculture sector also. Phenotypic means the images of the plant. So now current students are working with the soya leaf images, again with soybean. The actual images are there which have been taken from ISR Indore. And now we are using the current deep learning model. You heard about transformers, vision transformer, different kinds of transformer architectures are coming up. So they are innovating in the transformer models. And generative AI as well, because we develop a lot of GAN architecture, we are using our GAN architectures also for solving this phenotypic data problem in agriculture. These are real images with which work for the data augmentation. Diffusion models also using. So I stop here now. If something you can contact me. Thank you.
What is the percentage error when you convert in the wet lab to in silico? How do you minimize that stage?
For genomic data. So all these things are being done in consultation with the agriculture scientists because we are not from that area. They provide the data, we have a lot of discussions over the year for specific kind of data that they have provided, because in one crop species there are variations. Protein sequence is different, DNA sequence is different, RNA sequence is different. So students are in continuous touch and they find out if something is wrong, then they will tell us that this is the wrong. This is not acceptable. We have to improve upon this. And this is what we want. So unless and until domain expert is with us, we cannot satisfy them.
So that is one area where errors can occur.
Yeah.
Lab to in silico.
That is also the error thing. And in fact, many tools are being developed now. Most of the people want to work with PyTorch and this Python and inbuilt libraries of NVIDIA and all these things. We don't know these library, how they are tuned. We have to customize the things ourselves. Then only everything is in our hand and we can satisfy the end user. If you feel that I can use readily available thing, it is very difficult to do research with readily available thing because you don't know what is happening inside it. What level of performance tuning is available. Everything must be in your head. And you have to, from scratch, you have to code it. And that's why you innovate your AI/ML algorithms. Like Gen model, you have to understand if you want to work in generative AI, then you have to change the generator architecture, you have to change the discriminator architecture, and suppose you have to have control over the latent space, then only you can say that the data samples replicated are in the data distribution. It is not going outside. Otherwise, if data is wrong, everything will wrong. You are happy that I am generating lakhs of samples, but everything will wrong because it is not in that distribution, because you are unable to understand what is happening inside. In computational intelligence, you cannot, it is not explainable AI. How learning is happening, you don't know. When lakhs of samples there, how do you verify this sample is correct, this is wrong? Then verification, validation is a difficult thing. You cannot terminate your research. So that means the persons who are non-computer science must be in touch with computer science who are doing specific research. And that's how the things are interdisciplinary. Agriculture scientist with the computer science person, with non-computer science as well, because if it is signal, then I have to approach to the person who is signal processing expert, maybe in electrical engineering department. Most of the time my students, they work with ECG signals, they approach to Professor Pachori because he is specialized in it. So if we refer those journals, then nobody says no. Because we have to show state-of-the-art things when we go for publication. If no publication, you cannot go for technology development. No one will say that this is at this technology. So if you talk to the industry people or the technology expert, they look at the publications, the reputed one. If it is there, they say, yeah, you are at TRL 3. Then you continue from there. And then it is being evaluated. So this work, as you know, I work with Technology Innovation Hub in our IIT Indore, which is DST funded in almost all IITs, it is there. And they helped us to promote or increase the TRL levels.
Thank you, Dr. Tiwari, for a lot of insight. Two questions actually from AI/ML background. What were the challenges you found while tuning the hyperparameters, if you have tuned any hyperparameters in your research? And second question would be, by any chance, did you try quantum layers, putting quantum layers inside your neural network? I had done similar effort recently and I found accuracy improves quite, it depends on case-to-case basis though, but accuracy, I have seen improvement in accuracy.
Quantum layers, so as such I haven't used any quantum based thing, but one of the PhDs done in quantum based neural network architecture. That PhD is done under my guidance in 2019, it was implemented on classical computers, whatever computers we are having. But the optimization of learning, neural network learning, was done in the form of qubits. And for that we developed our algorithms. And it was evolutionary algorithm. So neural network was optimized, their weight setting is being optimized with qubit concept. So what we did, we applied the inputs which are real numbers and they are quantized, like they converted to qubit form, then whatever is being done, it is in qubit form. And then it is again changed to the real numbers. So there we used it, but we didn't use quantum layers.
How many qubits?
I think it was exactly, you can look at my publications, it is on my homepage. So 2018 it was awarded. We worked with IEEE transaction paper on in neural network learning algorithms. I can connect to that guy who worked with this. And nowadays a lot of innovations are being done, so one can use other advanced qubit ideas to optimize or to handle the data at the learning level. Can innovate their learning algorithms, the quantum ideas. Let me mention. First question, the way the this hyperparameter tuning is being done. So you know, model to model things varied. and I worked with number of models, number of ANN models, number of kernel-based models, number of fuzzy clustering-based models. Lot of models my students worked. 11 PhDs awarded, and the GAN architectures as well now. Model specific, there are several hyperparameters. Number one. Problem specific, more hyperparameters are there. If working with video, the aspect ratio will also be checked. If working with text, then something else is being checked. If working with signals, then other things, frequency and other things are being checked. And it is in connection to the domain expert also. Like if we take example of this agriculture thing, the clusters are being formed. They said us, agri-scientists said that you form the clusters of these amino acids. The colorful cluster you saw, no? Blue color, then this color, and the characters were also colored. Something was blue, then green, mean different amino acids. And amino acids are, the similar amino acids were clustered, and therefore clusters were in different color, green color, blue color, and all those. So they said us, we work like this. But when we come to computer science perspective, clustering is a different area of machine learning. Lot of literature is there. And what researchers say is that you have to ensure the cluster quality. Clusters should not be overlapped. Now how to test that overlapping? We have to look at those technical details. And for that the cluster quality, the cohesiveness of the cluster is being tested with ARI, NMI and other indices. Those things must also be equally important because we want to publish our paper in IEEE transaction on big data, not in agriculture area. Agriculture journal paper will be published quickly, but in technical area it is very difficult to publish because you have to ensure the clustering algorithm quality, not the data specific quality. And that way we have to tune it with varied cluster quality indices, and then only we are able to publish. So it depends that where you want to publish, and if you are a computer science person, you have to ensure that computer science perspective, you are ensuring that your algorithm is very efficient as compared to the state of the art. So it is algorithmic perspective. If you are working or innovate in the domain specific area, then domain wise you have to innovate or compare with the specific.
One more question, if in data. So big data and moving data, and you have to train models every now and then. Any learnings from or any suggestions, like for people, like they should follow based on your learnings for moving data? I mean, this type of
moving data normally moving in the different data, and the characteristics which are learned or features are being learned from first set of data must be as it is, and you have to add the new features as well, because online learning means maybe some data coming which is having new features. In that sense the online learning is there. So in some set of data you learn some features, and new data is coming, it is having some different set of features. Then how do you manage to learn all these features altogether? That is a challenge. And it is all again mathematics. In terms of the parameters you have to do, and which model you are going to use, that you have to incorporate. So there are a lot of machine learning is being involved, like kernel functions, the regularization, and all those things will come into picture. And then feature extraction will come into later. So for that also publications are there on the site. You can see the online publication. It was on kernelized machine learning algorithms.
Hello. Ma'am, one question here. My work in audio format actually. So there, the two challenges I faced. The first challenge was like whatever audios I have given input as audio. So whichever audios are generated from GAN. So like, what is the criteria? Like how many audios which are generated from the various GANs can be applied to my algorithm? And second challenge I faced, like the time required whenever I am applying those audios to the GAN. So time required was around 12 hours, 6 hours for complete execution of my algorithm. So how to tackle those issues if we are working in a GAN?
We are doing. Number one is, where is the state of the art thing done? Whether it is surveyed thoroughly or not. The papers on audio with GAN, that combination you have to search. If no paper on audio plus GAN, Then you have to search papers on audio with generative AI, some other model maybe. Maybe it is different model, capsule model or some other model. You have to see that how that is being done. Now you have to catch that what novelty they have done, hence they were able to handle this audio thing properly. That thing you try to do with the gain model. Unless and until you change the gain model, you cannot tune for the audio thing. So first you search papers, audio specific features, the papers on which the gains have been applied, the reputed one. Non-SCI index don't do reputed transaction papers because they give very elaborative discussion, detailed discussion how they have done. And it was well reviewed, hence it is assured that whatever they have done is 100% sure will happen. First of all, you test that model, whatever they have done, then you try to tune with your problem, maybe same model. If it is not done, that means there is a gap in that model. And that gap you have to catch, that is research actually. You have to catch that this is the gap in their model and that gap must be eliminated in your research. It's not one day job, it takes time to experiment, test and catch that where is the problem. For that you must have enough understanding of GAN architecture, generative architecture, discriminative architecture, the overall learning. You can look at my publications as well, how it is done for videos. And a lot of math is also involved there because it all works for the latent space. Latent space is nothing, it is the features are being extracted by the GAN. So how well you have control over the latent space, that is how the research people perform in generative AI. So those papers you have to see that how latent space is being handled.
We have a problem of protein fold coding, that we can't predict what the shape of the protein structure would be given the sequence of molecules. Recently, Google released the AlphaFold 2 model that could accurately predict the protein fold structure of a molecule chain if you give it. And for that, it received the Nobel Prize within 2 or 3 years. So, what do you say about that? And related to that, neural networks which it used, it got Nobel Prize in 20 years. So,
but who did it?
Google. Neural networks.
No, who got this prize and who did it?
Deep brain, I think one CEO and one scientist got a Nobel Prize for that.
So
In chemistry.
You have to look, Nobel Prize is not a joke. It was a hard effort for years. For years. So you have to look at all the details. Then only you can understand how it happened. In which you come across with help of many people. It's not only the single person. You look at it, it's definitely a teamwork. Number of fellows are involved. And we have to go ahead with everything. Now whatever you want to innovate, you look at that part and connect to that person. Or that publication or something, whatever thing. Because it is public now. It is patented, I hope, and copyrighted. And whatever it is already done, it is technology now. So all helping material is available, I am sure. You have to understand it, and whatever you want to innovate, why you want to refer it, that thing you have to catch. And you have to work in the same manner for your problem, for whatever thing you want to visualize your molecules and transform it. Anything else related to research, also I am able to answer.
Ma'am, actually how far we are maintaining our data? Because most of the data it is with foreign companies only. For AA, everything we need, the data management should be there. So in case, most of the thing that I know is we use API keys for LLM models and get the data from available things. So how good is our infrastructure based on the data warehouse and management of data? Because at the end we are not able to build like DeepSeek, like China did. So how far we are in the data management side?
Because data repository or
I am from quantum side only.
no, quantum side, but which application you are touching upon? Hence you are talking about the
I
data.
used to work in supply management side, that data.
Supplier. So you come across with the business data.
Yes.
This is always a challenge. The data is always a challenge, and you have to look at the people who are maintaining the data repositories. And you must come across with those people, then only you can do something, otherwise no. Like, just want to share with you, we established one COE in IIT Indore just now. for agriculture sector. We got funding from MeitY for that. Very first objective we have to develop common data repository for agriculture sector. And that challenge I was facing since years because I was doing AML and there is no common data repository in India. People are not providing data sometimes because it is not secure. So we propose that we have private cloud. Lot of long processes there, MOU and this thing and that thing, and then they are happy to provide data. Data is available, but it is in different form. How to make it the common format so that the computer sciences, the AIML thing can be applicable. That is another challenge. Once it is done, it will become asset of the institute. Anyone can come and test it. So time will be reduced. That means in your area also some solution maybe or some policy has been decided. I don't know which ministry is working for it or which organization or industries. You can take that initiative or some of the people already taken that initiative. You have to contact them and then find out you be part of it. But data is definitely a challenge. If you look at healthcare, it is a challenge. Initially, before 15 years, I was working, one of my students was PhD scholar working with EEG signal recognition for epilepsy. He approached to number of hospitals. How they responded, they said there are, in 1 year, there are 5 patients only, number one. And what they said, you go to those patients, take permission, then I will give data. Otherwise not. Now approaching that patient, after a year, it is very difficult. And taking permission, and that fellow, may not be qualified, unable to understand why I am giving sign on it. So in healthcare also, it is very challenging to collect the data. In your case, it may be possible to collect the data easily. But in healthcare, a lot of challenges. Repositories, benchmark repositories are there to test the algorithm for AIML experts. But when we talk about technology development, we have to test with the real data. Otherwise, you can't claim that I am developing a technology. Unless and until it is verified with the real data. So you have to fight for it. That's why increasing TRL level is not a joke. Publication is okay because with benchmark you compare and develop results better than that and hence publication. But yes, please.
Due to interest of time.
Yeah. So later on.
Actually also important to impart healthy and trustworthy data connection system. Take example of OpenAI, or I think when Musk tried to approach whole of the America to donate their medical data to mature one of their system, the appeal was open. We hesitate in doing that. We fail at gaining trust. What ma'am said that after 1 year, I say you go upfront. If even a restaurant asks for your phone number, you will hesitate. And there are clear guidelines of Honorable Supreme Court that no one can ask you your phone number for providing any service or bill, which is not needed by the law. So we fail at, but on the other side, business thinks that my business will grow if I can bombard my customer with SMSs or WhatsApp messages so that they know about the offer and then they will come back. Actually, it never happens. And that is true for research area also, where we need such kind of crucial and sensitive data. We need to build that trust, and then and I think ma'am was there yesterday, she was talking about it. I think that will, people coming together will make it more fruitful.
Thank you, Dr. Aruna Tiwari, for your insightful presentation on innovative AI/ML technologies. Your extensive research and innovative approaches to applying AI and machine learning in various fields are truly inspiring. Now, I would like to request Ms. Lakshmi Panath, Scientist G, Program Director, C-DAC Pune, to kindly felicitate Dr. Aruna Tiwari.